afraid I've got some bad news? I knew it. I love when he does that.
Then Tony Schiavone. This is Wrestling Today, folks. This is Wrestling Today. Tony Schiavone was in the ring with Sting. He introduced Sting. At least Sting came to the ring within a minute this time and plus those repeated snowfalls. I hate for the people who have to start their car after that. Anyway, Sting comes out without Darby Allin, the guy whose back he's supposed to be watching. Darby Allin was out earlier without Sting, the guy who was supposed to be watching his back. They don't even feed the poor announcers a coherent question to ask anymore. Tony just made something up. Well, what do you think about all this? And that's also Tony's fault. I love you, Tony, but goddamn it, every time I've ever done a television interview with talent as an announcer, if they didn't give me a question to ask them, I would come up with one. A lot of times they'd give me one and I'd come up with a better one and I'd ask that. And I would let the talent know what question I was going to be asking them so that they would be prepared with a response. Now, I know that Sting wasn't supposed to respond because, once again, he was asked a question by the announcer, and it is in the tradition of every single babyface on this program for the past year and a half. They don't say shit before the heel interrupts them. But Tony could have at least asked a question that made him sound like a professional sports announcer interviewing one of the talents instead of a guy that just walked into the fucking park to watch a pickup basketball game. And hey, who's that guy? So he asked the question. Sting doesn't open his mouth. Taz interrupts on the screen again. If I were Sting and Darby Allin, I believe I would go out to the truck and I would ask the video guy, what the fuck? Are you taking a bribe? Are you on their side? You're in on this whole thing? Every time I try to speak, their video pops up? Taz and Team Taz interrupt on the screen. Guess who Team Taz had zipped up in the parking lot in a body bag?
Well, I don't have to guess. I saw it. It was Darby Allin.
Of course it was. The guy that Sting specifically said last week he was going to be here to watch his back. He watched his back all right. He watched his back until he left him to be kidnapped, put into a body bag, and then tied up and drugged from the back of a pickup truck across the parking lot. And what did Sting have to say about this? Jack all of teetotal shit. He got a shocked look on his face, jumped out of the ring, and ran to the back, and we never saw any of them ever again.
Remember on last week's show when Marco Stunt was kidnapped by FTR? I said that, now that we've heard from some fans and we know what's going on, this is, I believe, the fourth reported kidnapping in AEW. Well,
but not even the fourth reported one, but the fourth actual one, because we have video evidence of every single one of them.
That's right. These AEW cameramen are everywhere.
So where do you start? Do you start with another kidnapping, their weekly kidnappings, or do you start with the fact that their huge star babyface lied to the people and didn't do the one thing that he said he was going to be there to do? There's so many questions here. What the fuck is the matter with the guy writing this program, first and foremost? Is it Adderall? Is it meth? Is it cocaine? Is it painkillers? Whoever is writing this program is regularly changing the chemical makeup of their brain in some fashion.
Well, I'll tell you, Goldberg is scared of what could happen when backstage, and I could understand it with all the kidnappings. But Team Taz in the parking lot are dangerous.
Yeah, you would think that the Jacksonville police would have somebody out there in a patrol car. Every week, it's something out there with them. Anyway.
Welcome to the Hoots Podcast. This is a podcast about life, which just happens to be centered and focused around the world of professional wrestling. We tackle the topics of the week, both inside and outside of the squared circle, while also focusing on the issues that are plaguing the world today. Whether it's wrestling, sports, life, or anything in general, we've got you covered right here on the Hoots Podcast. And now, here's your host, Josh Lopez.
And if that doesn't work, then by God, me and my friend Mark, we're going to stop watching. That's right.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 245 of the Hoots Podcast, recorded this bad boy on a Thursday, February 18th, 2021. Boy, this year is going by fast. I want to repeat this. We are 5 episodes away from reaching 250 episodes of this particular podcast, and we're also 1,000 listeners away from reaching 250,000 listeners / downloads on Anchor. So, shout out to you, good brothers and sisters, for making the Hoots Podcast what it is today. I'm Joshie. You can follow me on Twitter at the Hoots. Scratch that. You can follow me on Twitter at Josh Lopez Media, and I'll explain why in a couple of seconds. You can follow me on Twitter at Josh Lopez Media. Also, you can follow me on Twitter if you like at Joshie Lopez. That's Joshie Lopez94 on Instagram. And I have an Instagram page where I do guitar covers. That's at Josh Lopez Music. So hit me up on social media if you like. Also, Bookmark ProWrestlingTranscripts.com. ProWrestlingTranscripts.com, your number one destination for accurate and detailed result pieces. No star ratings, just strict play-by-play, blow-by-blow of all your favorite wrestling shows. It's a point of reference website that I'm very proud of. And go check out ProWrestlingTranscripts.com. And last thing on the plug-in, if you could, please leave us a 4 or 5 star review for you Apple Podcast users. It really helps expand the reach of the podcast. And I want to gauge on what you guys like or maybe don't like about the podcast. And your guys' feedback is very important to the longevity of this show. So, ready to rock and roll. We are recording live on Facebook for this opening segment of the Hoots Podcast, as we usually do every Thursday. We're going to get into the Good Brothers Q&A session, but there's also a lot to stuff to talk about. I got to review NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day for you guys. I got to do that in a little bit. I got predictions for the Elimination Chamber that's coming up on Sunday. Excited for that. And then, this is a lot of wrestling to go over. And we got a fiery and intense edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW this week, because that show freaking sucked last night. So be on the lookout for that as well. So this is time for me and you to just shoot the shit and interact with each other. This is the Good Brothers Q&A session. We do this every week at the beginning part of the show. This is me paying homage and paying it back to you guys because you guys are the essential cog of what makes the show successful. And I really do appreciate for a lot of the people that do come out and send questions and listen to the podcast and send feedback. It really does mean a lot to me because I do this for you guys. I really want to change wrestling media for the better. And it's been a process that I've been working on for 8 years now. And there's a lot of bad content out there. There's a lot of misleading and falsified practices of journalism out there. And I feel like a lot of wrestling fans are being led astray and ran amok. I feel bad for the modern wrestling fans today because just people don't have a lot of self-awareness these days in a lot of fields, but especially in wrestling media. People would rather jam their agenda than being genuine and upfront with you. So that's what we do here on the Hoots Podcast. I am open to a fault. I openly admit that. I'm open to the fault. For example, I got suspended on Twitter this past weekend. That's right, your boy got suspended on Twitter for God knows what reason, but the reason they gave me was that I had multiple copyright strikes on my Hoots Podcast Twitter account. So, here's the thing. You guys know that, like, I come out here sometimes and I play guitar and I do some cool guitar covers and maybe they're like a minute long or whatever. Sometimes I'll do a full song if I want to. But I share those for entertainment purposes. And for full disclosure, I never made 1 cent out of these guitar covers. Not one. I'm very proud of playing music. Music's a big part of my life, and I like sharing that with you guys. Not for ego purposes or braggadocious or anything like that, or trying to make a profit. Yeah, it'd be nice to make money playing music. I did play music for most of my life. But the bigger point is that, like, it was harmless. I mentioned who the song was made by every time I put out a post of the guitar cover. And then, what's up, Browning? How you doing, buddy? My bigger point is, like, I'm proud of what I am as a guitar player. Like, I love playing music, but I'm not trying to take anything away from these artists. I'm trying to pay homage to them with me doing a good guitar cover for whatever song I choose to play for them. And for me to get suspended for that is just absolutely grade A, homogenized, Holstein bullshit. Sorry for the language, but that's what it is. It's nonsense. The fact that I had to get my main Twitter account suspended over guitar covers that I didn't make 1 penny out of, like, it sucks. I've had that Twitter account since 2011, and I've really started to make a good following for myself with my content and stuff, and I'm appreciative for everybody who does support my work. But now I had to make a new account just to keep things afloat. No, I have not been to the Thunderdome yet, Browning. I don't know if you can go to the Thunderdome. Plus, nobody wants to see my face on these virtual screens, so no, I have not been to the Thunderdome. But, yeah, so I got suspended on Twitter. I think it's the first time in my life I've actually ever been suspended for something, which is, I don't know, it could be a good or bad thing depending on how you view things. But yeah, that's what happened. So now you can follow me on Twitter if you like at Josh Lopez Media. So with that being said, let's get into the Good Brothers Q&A session. The Good Brothers Q&A session we do every single week where the Good Brothers or Good Sisters send me a question about wrestling, sports, mental health, anything that's on their mind. I'm always here to help them out and give them proper advice about that. So it's always, even for those who watch live on Facebook or YouTube, you can also post any questions if you'd like as well, and I'll answer them for you. So we're going to start off per ritual with the good brother Chris Zaletta at XTZaletta24X. Good brother. We've been interacting for, I don't know, about 6 months or so. He's a really good dude. He said, what's up, Oos? Here's some questions for the Q&A this week. In your eyes, is Mac Jones a first-round pick? Well, for full disclosure, Chris, I'm not the biggest college football fan. I'm sorry for if that bothers people, but I'm not a big college football fan. I've heard of Mac Jones because I listen to Chicago Sports Radio, and they're trying to find every quarterback known to man to be the Bears quarterback right now. So, I hate to cast judgments on players I've never seen enough of. You know, that's the thing for me. I as a sports fan, I hate making assumptions like that. Like, I think one of the more bigger reasons why I've always been a Mitch Trubisky supporter is the fact that so many people just written him off whenever that pick went down. And yeah, we can all look at it with 20/20 hindsight now and say, oh, you picked the wrong guy. But I just hate to see players be put in positions where people are already determining their level of opportunity and success just because of where they got drafted, who they got drafted by. I just hate like preconceived notions. This is where I'm trying to get at with that, Chris. I just never have respect for that type of mindset. So I hope Mac Jones does well. If he is the Bears quarterback, we'll see what happens. The last quarterback they did draft was Mitch, and they have to revamp how they want that quarterback room to look, and I still sticking to my guns. It doesn't matter who you bring in as long as Matt Nagy is your head coach and his current BU mindset. Doesn't really make a difference who's the Bears quarterback. All right, next question. Worser segment, Jericho and NJF steak dinner, or Kenny Olivier reading to kids? Well, Chris, I'll save my thoughts on the Kenny Omega stuff. The Lenny Oshemga stuff for later on for the What the Hell segment, but it's easy. It's Jericho and MJF. Honestly, that is the dumbest wrestling segment I have seen in God knows how many years. And we've all seen bad wrestling skits. All of us, we've all seen bad wrestling stuff. And for me, I'm like, where the fuck are we going with this? Like, we were supposed to have this intense dinner date where MJF and Chris Jericho they're mad at each other one moment and then they start dancing, and it was one of those moments where you're embarrassed to be a wrestling fan. And I knew that night that AEW is more sports entertainment and a two-faced wrestling promotion. That segment right there clarified every thought I had in my head about AEW, because it's not alternative pro wrestling; it's alternative WWE. And they went down the same rabbit hole as TNA and Ring of Honor and all these companies since WCW went down to pasture, and they're doing nothing to change the wrestling business. So, what should the next NXT Takeover be called? Judgment Day. Let's pull up Judgment Day. Why not? Better Edge theme song. Never Gonna Stop or Metalingus. Probably Metalingus. That song, if anything, that song really encapsulates who Edge is as a performer, but also who I think Edge is as a person too. So, I think Metalingus is definitely the one. But I love Edge's old theme songs as well. I heard him on After the Bell with Corey Graves and Vic Joseph. By the way, that's a good podcast you should check out. He was saying that he played a big role in selecting his theme songs and stuff like that. It's very important to him. So, big fan of Adam Copeland, a.k.a. Edge. Shout out to you, good sir. Thoughts on the NXT/WWE newest signing? Chris, I don't have the full list of the class that signed to NXT. I heard that Ty Valkyrie signed, which I thought was really cool because I always been a big fan of her work over the years with Impact. I first saw her work in Lucha Underground. Obviously, fits well with the waterfall category. But more importantly, I just think she's a really talented wrestler, and I'm excited to see what she does. Does she show up to NXT? Is she on Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania? Does she eventually do something with The Miz and John Morrison? Do we get the Worldwide Underground back? Shout out to you old school Lucha Underground fans. So there's a lot of options. The thing with her, I think her talent seriously is any opportunity that does or does not come her way. So I'm very happy for her, and we'll see what happens. What did you think of Austin's heel turn at WrestleMania 17? Well, I was 7 years old at that time. What was it, 2001? Yeah. So I was 7 when WrestleMania 17 went down, right? And this is the time period where I'm starting to really understand wrestling for what it is, right? And, everybody puts it up that WrestleMania 17 is probably the greatest WrestleMania of all time. I may not agree with that, but I think WrestleMania 17 is definitely up there as one of the classic WrestleManias of all time. And going back to this 2020 hindsight thing, I think for me, the better decision is what Austin said, is that he would just stun Vince at that moment than doing the heel turn. But at that moment, it worked. I vividly remember my dad being upset about the Austin heel turn, because my dad is actually the person that got me hooked into wrestling. Like, he's the person that introduced me to it. We watched it a lot during the Attitude Era, so I was looking at the Austin heel turn for WrestleMania 17, and I'm like, okay, here we are. Austin's just going to be a bad guy now. I guess I got to boo him. And, you know, it did work. You know, people are still chanting for him. And I think that heel turn kind of set the tone of where wrestling is right now, where you have a character that's so hot as a gray area guy with the shades of gray. Like, one minute he's good, one minute he's bad. And it's like, it's just murky the waters, because now, honestly, how can you actually develop a baby face in this era of wrestling? Like, how can you do it? How can you do it? That's the thing. Next question. I want to give a shout out to you, and I'm actually going to share my answer to this question on Twitter later on when I post a show for you, Chris, so I can show you that I'm not lying. You asked me to come up with a card for Evolution 2. I'm going to read after you verbatim right here, and you guys can see it on my Twitter account at Josh Lopez Media after the show goes off air. So I typed this out last night before I went to bed. So, Chris, this is for me to you, good brother. All right, first match of the card, we got Carmella and Bayley against Evermoon and Shotzi Blackheart. Match number 2 on the card, we have Aoife Valkyrie against Kaylee Ray for the NXT UK Women's Championship. Third match, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. A lot of the big emphasis of this card is what's going on currently and matches that I would like to see with the current circumstances of storylines and who's on what rosters. So that's why I went with this route. But yeah, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. Charlotte Flair against Toni Storm comes in at number 5. Match number 6, we have a 10-woman tag match. It's Naomi, Lana, Natalya, the Riot Squad taking on Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell of the Way, Ginny, Nina Samuels from NXT UK, and Mercedes Martinez. So that's a 10-woman tag team match. Alexa Bliss against Taya Valkyrie. Sasha Banks against Miko Satomura for the SmackDown Women's title. And then finally, Asuka against Io Shirai, champion versus champion match. Kickoff Battle Royal will have Mandy Rose, Isla Dawn, Xia Brookside, Aaliyah, Jessica Maya, Tamina, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, Dana Brooke, Cora Jade, Zoe Stark, Xia Lee, Casey Catanzaro, Katie Carter, and Nikki Cross. So just to revamp the card for you guys. Carmella and Bayley against Evermoon and Shotzi Blackheart. Aoife Valkyrie against Kaylee Ray for the NXT Women's title. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Bianca Belair against Rhea Ripley. Charlotte Flair against Toni Storm. 10-woman tag match. Naomi, Lana, Natalya, the Riot Squad against The Way, Ginny, Nina Samuels, and Mercedes Martinez. Alexa Bliss, Taya Valkyrie. Sasha Banks against Miko Satomura, and then the main event, Asuka and Io Shirai. So that would be my card for Evolution 2. Let's see if that would tickle your guys' wrestling fantasies. That's a good question, though. Next question from Chris says, what show should Rhea Ripley be on? I think Rhea should be on SmackDown. I know a lot of people say Raw because Nia and Shayna are so fixated on the women's tag team titles that they're not like in the main like women's title feud. It's 50-50. I could see her being on Raw and rekindling stuff with Charlotte, but after that, what does she do? Like, okay, you have a feud with Asuka maybe, but with Becky out, that's the thing. Like the women's division took a hit with Ronda going off, doing her thing. Becky getting pregnant. By the way, congrats to her and Seth for their new baby, which is really cool. But even still, it's like it's like a hard rock in a hard place. Like she could literally go anywhere she wants. But I think for me, her on SmackDown would be a good fit for her. So thanks for the question, good bro. I appreciate it. Let's see, what was I gonna go to next here? Let's see. Next question we're going to go to is from the good brother, Sam Piopo, my man, Mr. Hot Take Extraordinary. You can follow him on Twitter at Second City Sam. He said, which wrestler from the Mud Show has the brightest future, despite the company they work for? I think for me, my pick would be, man. Well, I can tell you it's not. It's definitely not Jelly Nutella. It ain't him. I could say probably like Will Hobbs. I think Will Hobbs could have a good future ahead of him. Ricky Starks. I'm just picking out a bunch of people from T-Taz because that's one of the few things I like from AEW. But Will Hobbs, Ricky Starks. On the women's side, Penelope Ford, obviously Anna Jay, Ty Conti. I've liked a lot of what I've seen from the women's division from AEW. They don't have a full division yet, but like for the matches I do cover from AEW, they've been getting a lot better than it was in the beginning of last year. So those are the ones that would stand out the most to me. All right, next question. Opinion on Tommaso's champ of future in NXT. Well, I've heard this scuttlebutt about him saying he would quit if he went to Raw or SmackDown, and I would hope that he wouldn't really feel that way because no matter what you think about main roster creative and writers, to say that you never want to have an opportunity to make a name for yourself on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, I think is kind of silly. That's like saying, oh, I don't want to go to the major leagues. I'd just rather be known as the guy that dominated AAA. You know? I get it. There's a lot of people that hate watch WWE and people that do podcasts that hate watch WWE and everything they do is wrong. But just to say that, I'm going to quit if I go to Raw or SmackDown, I just think it's kind of silly way to look at things. If anything, you should take a challenge for yourself that, okay, you're out of the show that's just solely based on wrestling. And yeah, okay, Raw and SmackDown focus more on the entertainment side. I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, why does every wrestling fan feel like every wrestling show has to feel like a New Japan show or book like a New Japan show? Like, trust me, you guys know me. I'm an in-ring guy. In-ring wrestling is my thing. I love action. But it's okay if there's other wrestling shows that want to focus on the entertainment side of it. That's like saying, I only have to listen to one style of music. Like, you have R&B songs that are fast-paced, and then you have R&B songs that are slow and melodical, like Tank. I'm a big Tank fan. He's a great singer. I like Johnny Gill. I think for me, you just can't put people in boxes. That would be my thing. Like, don't put wrestling in a box. It can be whatever you want. If you like wrestling shows that have more comedy than the wrestling, that's cool. If you're like me and like more of the action in the ring, that's even cooler too. Like, for me, I just find it silly when people are like, if somebody goes to Raw or SmackDown, they're going to be ruined because it's just not the wrestling show. Like, come on already. Shout out to you, Greg. How you doing, my man? Thank you so much for checking out the video. Next question. Will Adam Cole ever be a WWE champion? Quick answer to that question, that'll be yes. 3 moments in WWE history that made you cringe. I'd probably say like the Dr. Heidi stuff with JR, where they're making fun of his colon surgery. I wasn't really a big fan of that. Cringeworthy. Any Jack Swagger match? Does that count? Other moments, let's see. I think for me, I look at, that's a great question. Cringe. I'd probably be like the one where Stephanie McMahon was trying to pull off the Dixie Carter, something. I forgot the name of the chick they used. Oh, Claire Lynch, or something like that. Yeah. They try to redo a thing where, like, Daniel Bryan, where they did with Dixie Carter and AJ Styles, trying to frame Daniel Bryan for cheating and stuff like that. I wasn't really a big fan of that back then, so those probably the ones that stand out the most to me. That's a good question, though. Like, what are cringe moments to you guys that you guys still remember, like, to this day? Best fast food French fries. Well, that's a good question. I'd probably say McDonald's. I'm not a fan of the Wendy's French fries. I'm going to tell you the second question because it says worst fast food franchise. I'm not a big fan of the French fries from Wendy's. Burger King's okay here. Miss Fries get onion rings there. If you want my honest opinion, but like, you know, here in Chicago we have a restaurant called Checkers. They have really good French fries. That's the thing. Like, when it comes to fast food, I really don't really think about fries that stand out the most to me. You know, they're just like there sometimes. So, Popeyes has obviously good French fries as well. Those probably be the ones that stand out the most to me. Like Checkers, Popeyes, and McDonald's probably have the best like French fries when it comes to fast food. So, those are good questions. I like those ones, brother. All right. Last batch of questions this week comes from the usual suspect known as Nate the Great. You can follow him at Twitter at Psycho Nagiri, the Pride of Minnesota. Shout out to you, good brothers, for saying questions as always. He says, where do you see Andrade and Aleister fitting in when they come back? Well, if I'm not mistaken, Aleister got drafted to SmackDown, right? Maybe you can rekindle something with Seth Rollins. Maybe Aleister Black is the hitman for Seth Rollins. We just saw the Messiah come back on SmackDown this week. Think about it. Aleister Black is the one that like gets in the way of Daniel Bryan and people that try to go after Seth Rollins. Roman Reigns has Jey Uso. Seth Rollins has Aleister Black. You are welcome, WWE Creative. Next question. Bulls or Blackhawks? Who do you enjoy watching more? That sucks because I'm a big Chicago sports fan. I equally enjoyed the experience of watching all Chicago sports teams. Even some of them where you start pulling your hair out and like during Bears games and stuff. But I think for me, like I enjoy watching Bulls games more than Blackhawks because I think Stacey King, outside of Eddie Olczyk, is like the best color analyst of the entire city. I love all his catchphrases. Give me the hot sauce, funk. Like the easy layouts is like, ooh, going as smooth as butter. Give me this. What's it like? Give me. Put some butter on the biscuits. Put some butter on the rolls. So I think that one, like, I'm a big Bulls fan, so I'd probably say that over the Blackhawks. If you could make a 5-man stable, who would you put in it from WWE? That's a good question. Ah, man, a 5-man stable like right now? Man. Well, let's stick to the top group in WWE right now, and that's the Hurt Business. I know it'd be easy to say, oh, let's do Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Keith Lee, Drew McIntyre, and Randy Orton, right? Just pick 5 of the top male stars and just do it like that. But I want to keep it to storyline. Hurt Business. I know a lot of people make comparisons to the Nation of Domination. For me, as far as the Hurt Business is concerned, I would keep MVP, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin. I would remove Cedric Alexander, replacing with Buddy Murphy, and then have Keith Lee be there. So Buddy Murphy, Keith Lee, Shelton Benjamin, MVP, and Bobby Lashley. Those would be the 5 I would have on the Hurt Business side. What are your thoughts on death matches? Make sure to listen to What the Hell is Wrong with AEW later on. I hate to be short with that question, short with that answer, Nate, but I have a lot of stuff to get off my chest when it comes to that. Alright, what is your favorite food that is a Chicago classic? Oh, that's a great question. I don't know if it's a classic, but for me, I really like pierogies. I don't know why, but pierogies one of my favorite foods out there. You know what? Obviously, Chicago deep dish pizza is definitely up there, like Giordano's. We had really good stuffed pizza at a restaurant called Bella's Pizza, which was really good. I'm sure Lauren was getting kicked out of that. She was a big, Bella Twins fan. But yeah, we actually had a restaurant here in Chicago called Bella's that had really, really good pizza. So that'd be one that would stand out to me. What is your favorite thing about living in the Chicago area? Well, it's a catch-22. I mean, it's a beautiful city in certain areas, but it's also, it humbles you and it opens your eyes to the fact of what life is. And I've been to a bunch of different states, and a lot of places look similar to others, but I think for me, what I love about Chicago is just the aura of it. Just being here my entire life. I wear this city on my heart and my sleeve, and I love what this city represents, but I also don't like what it represents too. It's a double-edged sword. It's a beautiful city one day, and then it's a shitty city the next. My favorite thing is, especially when it's really breezy, it's spring or early September for football season. That's always fun to be outside and stuff like that. But my favorite thing about living here is just the fact that we're a city that is about our actions and how we go about things, as opposed to saying one thing and then doing something else, like you have in the South or anywhere else around the country. So I love Chicago. I'm not embarrassed or regret being born or being raised up in here, but I want to leave, damn it. Next question. Who's the next champion that should be dethroned? That's a good question. Well, can Kenny Olivier be dethroned? Because he really hasn't really made a difference as the AEW champion. I'd probably say Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Probably time for them to lose the women's tag team titles, right? Either them or Asuka. Those would be my pick. Next question from Nate. How into MSK are you? Have they impressed you yet? Yes, they have. I know of Wentz and Xavier since they're working in Impact Wrestling. I covered all their matches as the Rascals. I'll admit, I wasn't the biggest Rascal fan while it was happening in TNA. I wasn't a big fan of them trying to imitate that 70s show, the Treehouse segments. I really wasn't into all of that, but they've always been really good wrestlers, and I've actually liked MSK more than I liked the Rascals. Probably another reason why I didn't like the Rascals because Trey Miguel's there, and that's another story for another time. But I like MSK. They've really impressed me. I'll get into their match from Takeover in a couple minutes, but they're very good, and I'm very happy for their success. They seem like really cool, genuine guys, and I'm excited to see what they do next. So I've been impressed by MSK. And then the last question I got for this week's segment is from, obviously, Nate the Great, and he asks, what do you think is the most important thing in any relationship? Boy, what a way to go out with this one. Holy shit. Okay. I think it's three things. I can't just pinpoint one important thing because they all intertwine into multiple other things. That's the thing. Like, I think the most important thing comes down to three factors. The genuine connection you have with someone. Secondly, is that person making you a better person? And then three, fuck, man. It's hard. It's really hard to pinpoint like what's the most important thing. Of course, you can say loyalty and doing this and doing that, but like, I really want to make this answer like stand out because it's very important. I think the most important thing to me when it comes to a relationship is having that genuine connection and loyalty, and knowing that no matter what happens, no matter how many arguments go down, no matter if I have a good day or this girl has a bad day, that I got her no matter what, that I'm going to be there to lift her up and make her smile. I think that's probably the most important thing for me because being just in any relationship, whether you're friends with somebody, whether you're in a relationship with somebody, or you're married or whatever, you know, you want to be genuine with someone. You just want to. You want to be real. You want to be the best version of yourself. And I think the thing about relationships that has sustainability is the ones that, you know, the person that's in your life, she or he brings peace in your life. He or she makes you a better person. He or she wants you to become better for yourself. Like when you're with her, you have no pressure. When you're with her, it's like gravity's pulling you within, and it's like you do anything for her, you be anything for her, and it's a real thing. I felt it when I was in Oviedo a couple years ago in Lauren. Like I thought it was a real thing. When I was with her, it was the first time in my life where I had like no weight on my shoulder. I generally deal with a lot of anxiety. Not a lot of people know that about me, but I deal with anxiety. I also have dealt with depression as well, and and lack of self-confidence. We talked about it here in the podcast before, but like when I was with her in Oviedo, it was literally the first time in my life where I felt like I was just myself, like I'm good enough for me. I didn't have to put an act on. I didn't try to impress her. I was just myself. And even though whatever happened, that was really one of the best experiences of my life. That's why when I got that question a couple weeks ago, like, what's the best day of my life, with her rejecting me, it was the best day because I really, really enjoyed my time down there with her. Whatever happened with her to make that decision, it's on her. It's her decision to deal with. It's not mine. I really moved on a lot from that, now to the point where I can just reflect on it. It's like, I'm not afraid to mention her name on here. Like, it is what it is. Like, we all gone through this stuff. I don't hold resentment. I've learned a lot from that event. I've learned a lot from that situation, and it's made me a better person. Now I'm at the point where I don't care as much as I did. I put a lot of time and energy into that situation, and I didn't get what I wanted. And it wasn't just it wasn't what you used to think a guy would be like, oh, I didn't get sex or whatever for him. That wasn't it. Like, when I was with Lauren in Oviedo, honestly, it was the first time I was with somebody. It's like, I was like, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with, you know? That was the first time that ever happened to me in my life. I never had that experience before where you're just with somebody and they just, like, you're crazy about them. Like, she's the one thing that's on your mind. She's the one person that wants you to be the best version of yourself. When I was with her, I thought it was the real deal. I really did, guys. So, I just think that the most important thing with relationships is that you stay true to yourself, number one. Loyalty, obviously, number two. And then three, being self-aware of, you know, if things are not working out and, like, what trends to avoid and stuff like that. But I think it's very important to be self-aware and keep your eyes open to what's going on in your relationships. So, good questions, boys. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for sending questions this week for this week's edition of the Good Brothers Q&A session. As always, you can send me a question at Josh Lopez Media and or at the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. All right, when we come back on the Hoots Podcast, I'm going to be recapping what happened at NXT Takeover Vengeance Day. Give you some predictions. Yes, for Elimination Chamber. And, yeah, mixing some thoughts on Raw and SmackDown as well. Right here on the Hoots Podcast.
You want to talk about Elimination Chamber? That's what you're here for?
I've had this contract for a week, Mr. Heyman, but you insisted on doing it this way. This contract stipulates that you, Roman Reigns, will defend that Universal Championship inside the Elimination Chamber, much like Drew McIntyre.
It just says Roman Reigns has to defend the title at the Elimination Chamber. So, put anybody you want inside the match. Knock yourself out. Have a blast. Live out all your fetishes and your fantasies doing it. And whomever is the last person that survives the brutality of the Elimination Chamber, that man will get the opportunity of a lifetime, because on that very night, a week from this Sunday, the winner of the Elimination Chamber will receive a Universal Heavyweight Championship on the spot against the Tribal Chief, the defending champion, Roman Reigns. What the hell are you going to do about it? You going to fire Roman Reigns this close to WrestleMania? So you're going to go through this again? Are we going to go through this same dance this year that we did last year? This is the island of relevancy. Your opinion is irrelevant. His opinion is the only one that matters. So just look that way, talk to the live audience, and tell them at the Elimination Chamber next Sunday, you get an Elimination Chamber match like no other with all these SmackDown superstars. The winner, it's an immediate Universal Championship match against Roman Reigns.
I can think of two superstars off the top of my head that deserve the opportunity to be in that Elimination Chamber, and frankly, I don't think they need to qualify. Do you ever shut up? You're familiar with both of these men. The first of which has taken Roman Reigns to the limit. His name is Jey Uso. After what happened at the Royal Rumble, I can think of a second superstar who doesn't need to qualify. His name is Kevin Owens.
You don't understand, do you? You don't understand. I don't care about Jey. I don't care about KO. The only thing I care about right now is you.
I remember when I was a younger man, my first ever pay-per-view for WWE, it was the main event.
And it was about that time. It was about that time that we went ahead and injected a little bit of star power. Let me talk to you. I'm going to put it to you like this. Don't worry about what I'm doing here. You go ahead and take a walk-in cell. Ain't nobody trying to hear your prepubescent voice.
I agree.
Right back over here, at least we got somebody with a little bit of bass in their voice. But look at it this way, Wade. I ain't here to suck up to you, because if you so much as look at me the wrong way, I'll drag your ass out of retirement just to walk you right back in. Because I got the scoop. Standing here right now, you're seeing it. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, look at this awkward idiot standing here. Barstool Sports. Hey, I got the scoop for you. Sports scoop. Tell all your friends.
Well, give it to me.
Make it go viral. It's right here. It's NXT. It's LA. It's LA night. Yeah.
He just beat his friend up. How am I feeling, man? How am I feeling? Let me think. I just beat the WWE champion. I just beat Drew McIntyre. I just beat him. I beat him right there in the ring. 1, 2, 3. I'm the last entrant in the Elimination Chamber. How do you think I feel? I feel vindicated. You know what I mean? I feel vindicated because let me tell you something. I've been telling people for weeks how I had Drew McIntyre's number, and tonight I proved it. 20 years we've been friends. I know everything about him. You know what I mean? We go back so long. I taught him how to train. I took him in under my wing where nobody else could. I gave him a place to live. I gave him a place to stay. I gave him motivation when he had no motivation. I helped him get the spot he's in. The reason Drew McIntyre is WWE champion, 2-time WWE champion, is because of me. Because of me, because of my guidance. But you think that Drew McIntyre remembers any of that? You think that matters to him?
Excuse me.
Don't matter to him.
Okay, so there's a lot of levels to this. It's more than just you getting a win. This is a win over your former best friend, someone who has denied you in what you believe is the opportunity you deserve, and now you feel you've been vindicated. So you have several days until Elimination Chamber. You know, other than feeling vindicated, what's your mindset heading into this competition? Because this is your chance, Sheamus, to once again become WWE champion.
There's a lot of things going through my head right now. I know you're talking and the lips are going, but I'm not really taking anything else. Do I feel bad? Why would I feel bad, mate? Why would I feel bad? For the last 12 months, right? The last 12 months, I've been the MVP at WWE in the Performance Center now in the Thunderdome, man. Match after match of the night, every week in, week out. Promo of the night, week in, week out. I've been elevating people to levels that nobody thought they could be elevated to. But who got overlooked? I've been overlooked, man. You know what I'm saying? But I'm the one who brings everybody up. I'm the one who's in there, bringing the intensity, bringing the level, get these new guys up to the level that they should be, bringing the intensity. I make people fight in that ring. I make them earn every single thing. And when it comes to Drew McIntyre, 20 years we've been friends, right? We were supposed to have a one-on-one match. We were supposed to go out there and tear it down. And what happens? They change it and put an Elimination Chamber match. Why? You think, why? Because you're saying I'm not a draw? Is that what it is?
Do you hope?
Four-time world champion. Is that what it is? The powers that be? I think I'm not a draw. Well, let me tell you something. I'm going to go in the chamber this Sunday. I'm going to take the WWE Championship, and I'm going to make Drew McIntyre come after me. And I will kick his head off week after week until they notice and give us the match that we want at WrestleMania, because that's where this is heading. 20 years, the Scots, the Irish, the Gaels, the Picts. It's the Battle of the Causeway. This is where it comes in. This is where I this is where I school Drew McIntyre and show him who really is the dominant Celt in the WWE. Drew, I hope you're watching, mate. I hope you learned something tonight, because that's just a small taste of what's coming for you. But once you walk out with that chamber, that Elimination Chamber this Sunday, mate, you are going to be dejected, and I will get my hands on that title for the first time in 5 years. I will be back at the top of the ladder. I will be the WWE champion. I will be back where I belong. No more playing second fiddle, especially to you, mate. When you became champion, were you thinking me? Huh? When you were off doing all your bleeding presses and VIP carpets and your bleeding Zoom calls with ESPN and all these top celebrities and all that, did you think of me? Did you offer me a car ride? Did you offer me a bit of that, a piece of that cake? Did you? No. Why? Because you're selfish, man. You're selfish, fella. You forget where you came from and you forget who helped you. Well, I'll tell you what, this Sunday Elimination Chamber, I'm taking back what's mine. I'm bringing it to school, and trust me, my time is now.
And it's interesting that he says he still would want to face Drew at WrestleMania should it happen like that.
Back here on the Hoots Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, ready to go down what happened this week in WWE and try to make this quick as possible so we don't have a 2+ hour show this week. I do want to say, when it comes to like Raw and SmackDown this week, I thought that Raw was a better show this week than SmackDown. But some good stuff going on for WWE as we're heading closer and closer to the Elimination Chamber. I will be making my predictions for that show in just a couple of seconds, but I do want to go over what went down this week in WWE. Starting off with SmackDown, where we have Roman Reigns confronting Adam Pearce and made the announcement where at the Elimination Chamber match, at the Elimination Chamber, there will be an Elimination Chamber match, but the winner of that match gets an automatic shot at the Universal title that night. And I like that concept because it fits well with the Tribal Chief character, obviously, but usually they'd have like these number one contender matches. So you have the Elimination Chamber match to determine this person's opponent at WrestleMania. Now with this and Fastlane coming up, you don't really know whether whoever wins that match will fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. We don't know who's going to fight the Tribal Chief at WrestleMania. He has such a stranglehold over SmackDown. You may need to have like a fatal 5-way or fatal 4-way match against Roman Reigns. That's the thing. You gotta bring in numbers against the Tribal Chief. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out. We saw the return of the Messiah. That was a lot of fun to see that. Just him trolling everybody, saying he's changed and everything, and then he's like, embrace division. I loved it. I don't care who gets fired by heel Seth Rollins or what he's doing right now because he's just that fucking good as a heel. I'm a big fan of Seth Rollins, so I'm partially biased, but it was really nice to see him back on TV, and if he's doing something with Cesaro, even better. But for me, I'm going to continue with the SmackDown brand. Keep Daniel Bryan away for the world title. This is not 2014 anymore. It's not even 2013 anymore. Like, the stuff with Daniel Bryan being a main event guy and a champion, it's done. Like, let his Planet Championship reign be what his lasting thing is as a main eventer. That's just my opinion on it. Then we started off Raw with a really good addition of Miz TV, I thought. Him and Drew McIntyre went back and forth. Miz was trying to play mind games with McIntyre. McIntyre officially snapped, which I thought was a good look on him because sometimes on Raw, McIntyre can be goofy at times, and then this time he's serious. But I just like the intensity in that segment. Then you have Miz undeclaring himself for the Elimination Chamber, which I thought was an interesting twist. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Andrew Baydala, my good brother. Yeah, go check out his work at the SNE Network. He had me on as a guest on his Raw review show this week, so we broke down a lot of things from Raw this week. Overall, I thought the show was decent. Usually, I don't get to catch Raw live as it happens because I'm working at the tattoo shop, but I enjoyed this episode, and I thought it flew by pretty fast, to be honest with you, for a 3-hour show. So I had a good time doing that event with Drew the other night. That was a lot of fun. And then the Gauntlet match, I thought that was pretty good. By the way, congratulations to Lacey Evans on her announcement of her being pregnant, which is pretty cool. Congrats to her and her family. And then let's get to my thoughts on NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day. You always know the cliche saying, like, there's not a bad takeover, right? But I think, in my opinion, this was the best takeover in the pandemic era of wrestling that we're in. This takeover special was absolutely phenomenal from top to bottom. I mean, where do you start? The women were being the absolute tar out of each other. I'm a big Dakota Kai fan. Like, you can put your Baileys and Sashas and etc. on a pedestal and stuff like that, but Dakota Kai as a wrestler and as a heel and how she carries herself in the ring, it's just top tier stuff, man. Just like restaurant quality, if you know what I mean. And I really enjoyed that match. Johnny Gargano and Kushida was a mat grappling clinic. Sometimes I don't enjoy looking at run times for matches that go for 25 minutes or so, because usually it takes me almost 50 minutes to type it out fully with the transcript, but this one was worth it. It was a really good match. Johnny Gargano retained his North American title, but Dexter Lumis stole Austin Theory. He kidnapped him. So we'll see what happens with that. And then we had, in my opinion, one of the best tag team matches I've seen in the last year or so. Grizzled young veteran, soon to be recognized as the world's #1. Unfortunately, they lost to MSK in the finals of the Dusty Classic. I was a little bummed by that, but it was a really fantastic match. I really thought GYV were going to bring it home, but I was watching this match, and boy, man, do I miss those UK crowds. I really do. I miss the, if you hate Gibson, shoes off. 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 That chant's absolute gold. But if you guys haven't seen Takeover yet, the one match I definitely say to go check out is definitely MSK against the Grizzled Young Veterans. And then Io Shirai retained. I heard there's some scuttlebutt about them losing out on time, which is unfortunate. Sometimes you never want like a women's title match to be rushed, especially a triple threat. But I like the physicality in the match. Obviously, it's not the match that'll be the standout of the night, but Io Shirai retained over Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez. And then we had the main event. It was Pete Dunne against Finn Balor for the NXT title. Finn Balor retains after a really grueling match and a lot of emphasis on digits and fingers being carved up into itty pieces. And yeah, I just enjoyed that match a lot with Pete Dunne and Finn Balor. That was a lot of fun. And then we saw the turn of Adam Cole, man. What the hell's going on here? Adam Cole's super kicking his friends. We have no more UE. I mean, one thing that's been constant about the Undisputed Era over the years is that Bobby Fish is injured. That dude can't catch a break. Mamma mia. So, I really enjoyed Takeover from top to bottom. I just thought it was a really good show. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. And then finally, for this week in WWE, give you my predictions for the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which is coming up on Sunday. First off on the list, we got Keith Lee against Bobby Lashley and Matt Riddle in a triple threat match for the United States Championship. I have Bobby Lashley retaining in a barn burner, but Bobby Lashley will make Riddle tap out to the Hurt Lock. Next on the list, we have, wait for it, we have to figure out who Asuka's going to fight now that Lacey Evans is pregnant. Obviously, Lacey can't go after the Raw Women's Championship, right? Let me pull up the card right here. Just give me a second, guys. I type out so many of these damn transcripts. This stuff's insane. Like, just 1 second. Let me pull this up. Got it right here. All right. We have Drew McIntyre against AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy, Sheamus, and Kofi Kingston in an elimination match for the WWE title. I got Drew McIntyre retaining in that one. The only way I can see this going in a different direction is if Drew McIntyre does lose. And, you know, the Fiend comes out, causes Randy Orton. You know, maybe something where you have, like, you have Randy win the Chamber match, right? Wins the title. The Fiend attacks him. Miz comes out with the briefcase and cashes in. That's another scenario I could drop in there as well. Let's see what else. Let's see who's going to fight the Tribal Chief. We have Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Cesaro, Daniel Bryan, King Corbin, and Sami Zayn in an Elimination Chamber match. I have Kevin Owens winning the match. I think Kevin Owens will win the match and lose to Roman Reigns. I think that's probably the ending story they would want to conclude Kevin Owens with Roman Reigns. That's why I think they put him in the match. That's why I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, you can do an underdog story with Cesaro, but him losing in 5 or 6 minutes to Roman Reigns would not be a good look in my eyes. So just let Kevin Owens get his final licks at Roman Reigns, and then we'll move on from there. So those are my predictions for the Elimination Chamber coming up on Sunday on the WWE Network. You'll see your boy transcribe that show on ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. All right, when we come back, I'm going to give you my thoughts on No Surrender from Impact Wrestling and keep you updated with what's going on in the world of New Japan right here on the Hoots Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more final stop in destination here on the Hoots Podcast before we get to our main event of the evening. It's time to go over what went down in the world outside of the WWE/AEW bubble. And we're going to get into talking about No Surrender from Impact Wrestling this past Saturday night. Pay-per-view event I got to cover on ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. A long show. A very long show. I don't know who's decided the run times for these matches on the Impact Plus specials, but some of them go way much longer than they need to. Like the Cody Deaner, Jake something match, I thought was way too long for what it needed it to be. I like the physicality, but I don't think the match needed to be 12 minutes. We had some good stuff on the show. The Revolver match, this was the first time I transcribed a Revolver match. It's kind of like a modified gauntlet match in a way, but I like the concept. I thought that was a very good match. Rohit Raju, TJP had a really good match for the X Division title, so I thought that was cool. The Good Brothers Triple Threat match with Private Party and Chris Sabin, Jay Storm was fine. The Good Brothers retained that match. I thought that was pretty good as well. And then we had the main event of Rich Swann against Tommy Dreamer. Very emotional type of build they had throughout the match where this is the story that Matt Striker and D'Lo Brown are doing on concert. I thought was pretty good. Sometimes, though, D'Lo Brown goes a little bit overboard, but I won't knock D'Lo for trying to bring some energy and excitement into the announce booth these days. We don't get that on a lot of wrestling shows, so I'm not going to be too harsh on D'Lo Brown. But overall, I liked No Surrender. I thought it was a solid event. Let's go check it out. And then really quick, this is obviously like our quick like pro wrestling update. We got New Japan going on the Castle Attack tour now. We're on the road to a couple of big matches, like Ishii and Jay White will be fighting up against each other for night one of the Osaka Joe Hall shows. Before the big tag team title match, there'll be singles matches on that night one card as well, with Tama Tonga taking on Hiroki Goto and Tonga Loa taking on Yoshihashi. And those should be pretty interesting singles matches as well. So I'm looking forward to that. We're on the road to Phantasmo and Ishimori against Hiromu and Bushi. That's going to be taking place at Korakuen Hall coming up next week, I think, on the 25th, if I'm not mistaken. So next Thursday. Another Thursday where I have to wake up and do a New Japan show and then do this. So that should be a lot of fun. But nonetheless, Okada and Evil, they're building up to that. And then Ibushi and Naito supposed to be the main event for the big event on the Castle Attack. Naito suffered a right knee injury during the tour. He missed out on yesterday's event, but looks like Naito will be okay. This is like a precautionary thing. And I think it's probably it's probably best for them to hold off Naito for the Castle Attack show than potentially have them out for a year with an ACL injury. So hopefully Naito will be all right. But there's just some really good matches around the horizon. I know Phantasmo and Hiromu will be fighting each other for the Junior Heavyweight Championship at Castle Attack. That should be a really good match as well. And don't forget, guys, a week from tomorrow, I'm recording this on a Thursday, so February 26th, Jon Moxley against Kenta for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. that match is going to be absolutely insane, and I really hope that Kenta gets the job done because he is the real champion, and if MJF couldn't get it done, I need Kenta to get it done. Kenta 2021, hashtag not my champion. Alright, folks, on that note, let's get into what everybody's been waiting for, the what we all been waiting for all week. The most anticipated segment in all of professional wrestling in 2021 is called What the Hell is Wrong with AEW? We're going to start this bad boy off with the one and only Brother Carter in a 3, 2, and a 1. Boom!
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW? What the hell is wrong with AEW? Well, another week and another horrendous show by the professional wrestling company that calls themselves All Elite. Another god-awful program with god-awful segments. There was a couple okay things which I'll get into, but by and large, more crap. Let's get to it. Folks, Matt Hardy is getting into Chris Jericho and Miro territory. His career is going way downhill. Now he's got this stupid big money Matt gimmick, and he's trying to buy off Private Party and Hangman Adam Page, and now all of a sudden we're going to be getting this money stipulation match at Revolution for some stupid reason. I don't want to see it. Get Hangman Page over. Well, you know what's going to happen. This is going to end up, Matt Hardy's going to win, and then he's going to make Hangman Adam Page do these, he's not going to be able to afford life and stuff like that, so he's going to have to become a personal slave or something like that. I just have a feeling that's where they're going to go. And I don't care to see it, because I like Hangman Adam Page. I think he's great, but this whole Matt Hardy thing is stupid, and Matt Hardy's career has taken a major turn downhill. TH2 tries way too hard to be spot monkeys, and it was very obvious in their match. They missed a couple of spots, and they were their timing was way off. All they cared about was hitting the big move as opposed to actually telling the story and protecting their opponents, which is the AEW way. It's just go for a big spot and hope for the best. And they just try way too hard to be spot monkeys, just like everyone else in that stupid company. Once again, the referees were way out of position to make counts. The All Elite Wrestling team is horrible. They could have done something great to bring in Mike Chioda, but they only did it as one-time thing to improve Chris Jericho's career, and clearly that did not work out. Santana and Ortiz are the only ones that are holding the inner circle together. Like, they actually have talent. I believe them in their promos. Well, I don't really consider MJF is in the inner circle, but he's been so hit or miss since joining that group. But Santana and Ortiz have been consistently good in that group, but they're the only ones holding it together. The rest of the inner circle completely suck, and I don't know what's going to happen with them. I assume Sammy Guevara is going to come back and cost Jericho and MJF the titles at Revolution, but I don't know. I just don't care about the inner circle at all. So Shaq and Jade Cargill are going to be in a wrestling match in a couple weeks on Dynamite, but their training video is of them playing basketball. Boy, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Ridiculous. How the hell does Luther have a job? Seriously, he's overweight, he doesn't have a good look, he's bad in the ring. I know why he has a job, because this is a second-rate company that just cares about patting themselves on the back and, robbing Tony Khan blind because he's a stupid wrestling mark that happens to have money. That's the only reason Luther has a job, is because Jericho said, yeah, bring this guy in, he's good. He sucks. He's overweight, he's fat, he's terrible in the ring. Cannot stand Luther, he sucks. His match with Orange Cassidy was a bunch of crap. It was slow-paced, it didn't do anything for me, the finish was bad, horrible match. But again, no surprises there. By the way, speaking of wastes of time, the Taz Sting segment was a waste of time too. There was absolutely no emotional build for the match. Taz comes out, cuts kind of a half-hearted promo, which is unfortunate because Taz cuts good promos. Sting comes out, throws away the bat, and they beat him down. Like, why should I care? Why should I care about Taz and Sting? I don't. And I don't care about the street fight. I don't care about Sting is going to be a former shell of himself. He's taken bumps that he probably shouldn't take. Like, he got powerbombed at 62 years old. Like, that cannot be good for his health. I don't get it. I love Sting, but it ain't working for me in AEW. Who the hell let Kenny Omega in front of children? What the hell was that crap with the kids? Like, seriously, that was horrible. Why? Do you really think 5 and 6-year-old children are going to know who Kenny Omega is? AEW markets themselves as a TV-14 company. These kids aren't going to know who Kenny Omega is, and then they all beat up Mike Nakazawa in the end or whatever. It was ridiculous. Josh and I were texting about this during the show. Imagine if that segment was on Raw. Think about it. Everyone in the wrestling community would think it was the most god-awful thing in the world. But because it's All Elite Wrestling and there's this stupid-ass double standard for Kenny Omega, and who is the most overrated wrestler in the history of professional wrestling, I'll say it. Kenny Omega is overhyped and overrated. He sucks. He wouldn't even make the mid-card in WWE. He's that bad. But that's your world champion for All Elite Wrestling. I mean, I could just end the segment right there, but believe me, we have more to go. And I'm going to get to Omega in a bit. FTR versus the Seidels was nothing but botches and missed spots, because again, they just try to be spot monkeys. And then we get to the main event. And of course, a Jon Moxley match starts with a brawl. And shocker, they tried a spot with Rey Fenix and it missed. I'm pretty sure we saw this exact same concept the week before. And the week before that. And the week before that. It's the formula for a Jon Moxley match. Start with the brawl, do some, outside of the ring, weapons and stuff like, this kind of, it's not a wrestling match. It's a brawl, it's a fight, it's with weapons. That's what Moxley wants to do. And of course, shocker with that. And then out of nowhere, he gets this weird win on Eddie Kingston with just out of nowhere hitting the paradigm shift. I think I saw more missed spots this week than on any other episode of Dynamite I've seen. And I've watched a lot of crappy Dynamite. But I think I saw more missed spots this week than any other episode I've seen. And then we get to the closing moments of Dynamite. Good Brothers come out, beating down Moxley, fine. And out comes Kenny Omega. And what does he do? All Elite Wrestling can't help themselves. They can't. They cannot help themselves but get in their own damn way. And continue to target themselves to an even smaller niche audience. The main event of AEW Revolution will be Kenny Omega defending his title against Jon Moxley in an exploding barbed wire death match. They have taken this indie garbage death match crap and are going to put it on All Elite Wrestling pay-per-view for the world to see. These performers are going to intentionally try to mangle and hurt themselves for the enjoyment of a very, 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 very small few. I don't get it. If somebody can explain it to me, please explain it to me. But it's the stupid indie garbage deathmatch crap that all of these characters, they can't tell stories. They can't do anything involving actual athletic, professional, choreographed wrestling. They just want to go beat the crap out of each other with weapons and potentially hurt themselves, potentially, end their careers. Jon Moxley is about to be a father. This is the direction that All Elite Wrestling wants to go. They don't want to be a wrestling company. They want to cater to the small amount of stupid-ass wrestling marks that think that what they're doing is entertaining. They don't want to be a global company. They don't want to be, they don't want to have, they clearly do not want to be seen as a legitimate sports company. They want to be an indie wrestling company that overpays their performers and doesn't get anything in return. Tony Khan is a fool. The Turner Network should be embarrassed to have this product on their as a part of their television programming each week. And the sad, sad saga of AEW continues to write another horrific chapter. Seriously, what the hell is wrong with AEW?
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
Thank you very much for the card for submission this week. You killed it as always, my man. Okay. What the hell is wrong with AEW this week? What else is new? I gotta tell you this. I want to get to the good stuff first because I may pop a blood vessel here and I really don't want to, but stuff has to be said. Let's start off with the good stuff. First off, always like seeing FTR on my screen. They're good wrestlers. I enjoy watching their work. And I didn't know Matt Sydal had a brother, but that was trippy. Let's just say that. But yeah, that was all right. I really like the Serena Deeb and Riho match. That's the only match on this show that I liked. Very good back and forth contest with both of them, and I thought that was pretty good. All right, enough. Something needs to be said that hasn't been said on any wrestling podcasts out there. When you have a wrestling company called All Elite Wrestling, tell me, what is elite about AEW and their wrestling style? What is the AEW wrestling style? Stuff that I've seen from Ring of Honor, stuff I've seen from New Japan, stuff I've seen from FMW and other stuff. Like, what is really alternative about AEW? I'll tell you one thing. AEW right now has more of a realistic future of being a product that you can see on Daily Motion than you can see on TNT. And I don't care if you get offended by what I'm following up with that, because this promotion run by fucking Rick Moranis and Milhouse's son is going down the fucking tube sooner than you guys are going to expect. Because here's the thing. It's not just that the product sucks. It's the aura. It's the perception of what AEW is doing. I continue to say week in and week out that them working with Impact and New Japan is an indictment on them because they don't have the ability to form their own identity. I mentioned it earlier in the show that AEW is more sports entertainment than they led to tell their fucking sheep that it is. You watch AEW, you tell me that's a pro wrestling show? Why? Because it's TV-14 and they can swear? The only pro wrestling show you can have was TV-14 and you can swear? Watch their storylines. Watch their booking decisions. I really don't talk about booking on wrestling shows because I think it's stupid. I never booked at a wrestling show, but I always see the narratives about 50-50 booking. They do it just as much as the WWE, and I have my website to validate that. A lot of the stuff you guys whine and get on soapboxes about WWE, AEW does the exact thing and then worse. So, we have the world's greatest wrestling artist, according to Dave Meltzer, right? Kenny Olivier, or Lenny Oshemga, as Tama Tonga would say. He's cutting a promo in front of kids, burying the Bucks, doing his thing. And I'm sitting here back here, I'm like, really? This is the guy you're going to tell me this is the best wrestler in the world? This is the top guy. Really? Like, you'd be one thing to be like, oh my God, they would just make AJ Styles a mid-carder in WWE. Hell, I don't even know if freaking Lenny Oshemga would even be on a card. Like, he'd be stuck in main event. Like, yeah, you could do a gazillion wrestling moves and wrestle with jazz hands, but as far as a character, as far as believability, and as far as entertainment is concerned, you, my friend, fucking suck. On all fronts. You're the least intimidating top guy I've ever seen in my life. I don't know what in the Vital Blue Yellow Belly hell that segment was last night. Him at golf carts, him talking to kids. Next, he's gonna have his thumb up his next. He's gonna have his thumb up his ass next week. we got this stupid thing with Hangman Page and Matt Hardy where one are trying to outwork the other and trying to find a way to work. It's all over the place. And then his thing, shitty commentary. This is the one thing that's consistent about AEW. When Dynamite's live on TV or there's a pay-per-view, you're guaranteed to have a rough night at the office when it comes to the announce booth. I'm sorry, JR, you're the reason I got into this, but it's time to call it up, man. You were brutal last night. Not even with calling Lenny Oshemga the WWE champion. Forget that. Like, what are you doing on there? Like, you're fucking Jim Ross. You're the best play-by-play commentator of all time. And you're calling matches now as if you're doing a fucking watch-along with Conrad. Like, what are you doing? Like, I already have my thoughts on Excalibur. It is what it is. So, Tony Schiavone's a fucking shill. It really doesn't matter what he says either. Everything on this show doesn't resent anything that's changing the world. I watch this. I want this to be good. I try to objectively go into the show and be like, okay, maybe we have something different tonight. But no, all the matches have the same match layouts. The style's all the same. All of it. Really? You're going to tell me you're the fucking Forbidden Door, Tony Khan? You're going to give yourself a gimmick that you're this fucking Grand Wizard of Wrestling, that you have all the keys in the foundation, that the world of wrestling revolves on the fucking heels of Tony Khan. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Your paid ads on Impact fucking suck. You are a hypocrite. You say one thing and you do something else. Oh, I don't want the attention to be on me. The attention should be on the athletes. Okay. The Forbidden Door. We can't go through one episode of Dynamite without the freaking commentary team putting you over something that you did. You know, last week I talked about glad-handing in AEW. That continues week in and week out. Because the culture in AEW is kiss everybody's ass. You do whatever the fuck you want, and that's it. Without trying to learn, trying to actually form an identity. You know, no filters, nobody to say no to, having the boys in creative. And this is the bullshit you get. You get Ladina Debonair, you got freaking Lenny Oshemga talking to kids at a preschool, and, oh my god. If I had to see another segment with Sting and Taz just talking, okay, it was cool. Brian Cage powerbomb Sting last night. Awesome. But what was solved from that? Did Brian Cage powerbombing Sting really make you change your mind that Darby Allin and Sting are not going to win at Revolution? Really? And what the hell was with that finish with the Young Bucks and Santana Ortiz match? You guys do a little cool mini powerbomb into the fucking tailgate area, and Ortiz is shouting, "We're the best! We're the best! We're the best!" Hey, Poppy, go turn around and go make a fucking pin. Oh, he's shouting at the ring apron like a Nimrod. We're the best! We're the best! We're the best! Walks in the ring, inside cradle, 1, 2, 3. Made it out to be like idiots. Inner Circle sucks. The Elite sucks. This whole company sucks. And to top it off, we got Jon Moxley against Lenny Oshemga in let me get this right, an explosive barbed wire death match. You know, Bret Hart said it right. They can't help themselves. They need outlaw mud show concepts to continue being validated by niche audiences and dirt sheet mongers and sheep on Twitter that are had their heads so shoved far up Tony Khan's ass they couldn't recognize their face when they woke up in the morning. It's so ridiculous. The narrative and the perception and the aura of AEW. Because there's nothing all elite about AEW. There isn't. What is elite about AEW? The fact that they put on shitty television? The fact that they put on shitty tag team matches? That they have a shitty referee crew? The fact that they got a shitty announce team? The fact they got a shitty-ass heavyweight title division? The fact that they have a shitty-ass power ranking system that doesn't make sense? A shitty system where they make matches on TV that makes no sense? Oh, here's an idea for AEW. Because Chris Jericho and MJF confronted the Young Bucks parents, we're going to have Jake Hager against Brandon Cutler on Dynamite next week. Wow! That's fucking creative. That's awesome. I'm on my pins and needles for that match, you know? You sell your audience one thing and you give them something else, and that's slapping the wrestling fans in the face. You know, I remember Taz on one of those post shows that AEW did about a few months ago. He was like, "Oh, the only reason why we bring up AEW is because they insult their fans' intelligence. We don't do that." Get the fuck out of here, dude. Your company insults wrestling fans' intelligence every fucking week, and it's gonna be to a detriment to your group, by the way. I hope you know that. Because there's no way that Team Taz is beating Sting and Darby Allin at Revolution. And I get it, probably not for the story, but you have Brian Cage come in as a blazing hot acquisition from Impact, and he's watered down, and he's lost to Moxley, he's lost to Darby Allin, he continues to lose and lose and lose. With nowhere in sight, the booking concepts come from 90s, and Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez and Sean Ross Sapp and all these other people. AEW is just buying time to the time where they're going to be a product that you can see on Daily Motion. It's more, as the weeks go by, I'm more realizing that this is going to be a Daily Motion product than something you can see on television. Because as a consumer of wrestling television, this show sucks. You get nothing out of it. You don't. You got talents that you brought in from WWE that are stuck in the same positions that they were in the WWE. Change the world. What's changed? We have a wrestling television show now that's run by fucking Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer. Don't call yourself the Forbidden Door. What's your fucking creative ideas outside your little fucking notebook that you wrote down wrestling matches when you were a little kid? Hell, I could do that. I'm not going to come on here and act like I'm a wrestling genius and insult my podcast listeners' intelligence by saying that I can come up with better concepts than you. You've been in the wrestling business for, what, a year and a half now? And you're going to tell me that you're going to act like your shit don't stink? Watch your show. Get a fucking clue and form an identity before you start running your big-ass fucking mouth with your stupid-ass sunglasses that you wear in your fucking paid ads, and get a fucking clue. You're leading people astray. You're running amok down there in Jacksonville. This show sucks. That's what's wrong with AEW this week. Well, thank you guys so much for checking out episode 245 of the Hoots Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Josh Lopez Media. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Josh Lopez94 and on Instagram at Josh Lopez Music. Also, Bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. And if you're a user on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 4 or 5 star review / rating. It helps expand the reach of the show, and we do appreciate the support that each and every single one of you give the podcast each and every single week. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed the Elimination Chamber. I'll be back here next week to recap that show and make some preview for our Castle Attack show in Osaka. And some fun stuff around the horizon. I mean, we got the New Japan coming up, and we got WrestleMania season going on right now. So, good time to be a wrestling fan. All that being said, I'm Joshie. Don't forget, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself, and always remember, you are dictating the pace of your life, nobody else. So, I'm Joshie. This has been episode 245 of the Hoots Podcast. Right now, I'm going to send it off to Brother Carter for this week's edition of the Thoughts of Dericho. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I love you guys. We'll talk to you guys next week. Yes, sir.
And now, the Thoughts of Dericho. Listen well, man.
Welcome, welcome, one and all, to the segment that will never be eliminated from podcast history. It is the Thoughts of Dericho, featuring the one, the only, Brother Carter. What a week it's been. So much to talk about. And all the stuff we can't talk about, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Like that time I paid common people to demean me when I had that job up in Utica. It's a difficult time. All together. Wish I had Chet Cheddarfield here to help me out, because Chet Cheddarfield never sleeps. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's get into it. I want to start by giving my thoughts on NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day from this past weekend. As usual, TakeOver is put on an amazing show. Every TakeOver I've watched continues to raise the bar and just continues to amaze me what the superstars of NXT can do. It's just incredible stuff from top to bottom. Awesome match to start TakeOver. The women's tag match was great. Congratulations to Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez on winning the Dusty Women's Tag Team Classic. I think that's absolutely terrific. I think that they are doing really great work, and I'm looking forward to their match with Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax when that finally happens. I actually would be okay with them winning the women's tag team titles. I hadn't thought about that, but I think that would be a great idea. Give them the women's tag team titles, let them run with it, give NXT a little more exposure. I think that'd be great. Gargano and Kushida are fantastic. Another great match from both competitors. I mean, they're just both outstanding, so that was great. Amazing match from MSK and the Grizzled Young Veterans. Here's the thing about MSK, and I talked about AEW early in the show and how they're just trying to be a bunch of spot monkeys. MSK does high flying the right way. Yes, they have high flying moves and stuff, but they do it sparingly, and they do it in the midst of telling a story. That's what makes MSK so successful as a team. Congratulations to them winning the Dusty Cup. Really cool. Great way for them to debut in NXT. And I think we can expect some great things from MSK in the future. The Cameron Grimes vignette was hilarious. That was great with the money stuff. Oh, I thought that was great. That was awesome. And a fantastic triple threat women's match as well. Once again, proving why the NXT women's division is without a doubt the best in the world. No question. The best women's wrestling in the world happens in NXT. No question about it. And Io Shirai comes out on top again. Looking forward to seeing what she does at WrestleMania. I really hope she gets an opportunity to compete at WrestleMania because she deserves it. And of course, Finn Balor versus Pete Dunne was a classic. It was absolutely amazing. I'm just so sad that Finn Balor never got a real chance to lead the company on the main roster. You know, he was the first ever Universal Champion, and WWE was going to do something with him, but then he got hurt, and it just stifled all of his momentum, and he could just never really recover, unfortunately. Now he's doing amazing things in NXT, and I cannot wait to see him defend his championship at WrestleMania. But another great match, and it looks like he may be defending it against Adam Cole, because it appears it is the end of an era. An end of an era that is undisputed. Now, I haven't watched NXT at the time of this recording, so I'm not sure what happened. I did see that Pat McAfee tweeted some stuff out, and Pat McAfee's still the best heel in the business. One of the best heels in the business. So, really great stuff from Pat McAfee, but it looks like we might be getting Balor and Cole at Mania with the end of the undisputed era. So, we'll have to see what happens with that. But I thoroughly enjoyed TakeOver, and I already can't wait for the next one. Okay, just a few things about SmackDown, a few things about Raw, a few things about AEW, the things I enjoyed about AEW, and then we'll get into my predictions for the Elimination Chamber happening this week. All right, start with SmackDown. Paul Heyman is so good. The attendance joke from Heyman about WrestleMania 36 was hilarious. When he said, with the Universal Championship, the attendance figures at WrestleMania, the attendance at WrestleMania 36 was the lowest it's been in company history. I thought that was outstanding. Great, hilarious joke from Paul Heyman. I really enjoyed that. That was funny. And he just continues to be gold, but I know nothing new there. Sonya Deville needs to run SmackDown. She's fantastic. Let Adam Pearce run Raw. Let Sonya Deville run SmackDown. She's fantastic. I think she's great. I hope we get to see her back in the ring at some point, because I still think she has potential to be a women's champion and lead a division. But I think she's fantastic, and if you want to put her in a GM role, I'm okay with that. Good match with Sami Zayn and Corbin and the Mysterios. Dominic took a nasty bump when he hit his head on the table, but he continues to impress, so that's great. I guess Cesaro is now with Daniel Bryan, and Nakamura is going to be with the Intercontinental title picture again. I hope they can elevate Nakamura to main event status at some point again. I just think he's a complete badass, as you all know, and could really do great things as a world champion, but we'll have to see. Man, Seth Rollins continues to be the man. He's got his old theme music back. He faked everybody out, but he said he was going to go back to his old ways, but then ended up being the Messiah. And it looks like it'll be him and Cesaro and something with him and Daniel Bryan, and that's great. I love it. So glad to see the SmackDown savior back, or whatever he's going to go with now. But so happy to see Seth Rollins back. That's awesome. Street Profits are great. Billie Kay is outstanding. She continues to be great. The Street Profits are great all around. Very talented both in and out of the ring. Though I will say, I think Montez Ford's going to be sleeping on the couch after dancing with Sasha Banks at the top of the ramp there. Bianca may not be too thrilled about that. Let's see. Happy to see Shayna on SmackDown. Nia, not so much. And then I'm so happy to see that Ziggler and Rude got some main event time. They are so good. The SmackDown Elimination Chamber match is going to be very entertaining. Very much looking forward to it. Switching gears to Raw. I actually think this is, I give WWE booking and their logic a difficult time on Twitter occasionally, but this makes sense. Miz taking himself out of the Elimination Chamber. He's got a free pass to a WWE title match. Why would he put his body at risk inside the Elimination Chamber? It makes total sense. And we get potentially Kofi Mania Part 2. I love it. That's great. Very smart booking. Makes complete sense. And I really love it. Plus we know what Kofi can do inside the chamber. So that's going to be great. Matt Riddle needs to be author of every American history textbook that is used in public schools across the United States. His take on presidents and doing all that stuff with the Lucha House Party was hilarious. I loved it. Everything he was talking about. Matt Riddle is an author and an orator in the making. R-Truth is going to win the 24/7 championship on SNL this week, isn't he? Yeah, I think he is. Bad Bunny's the champion now. Bad Bunny's going to be the special guest performer on SNL this week. I'll be checking it out just to be ready to write the story of how R-Truth wins the title back on SNL. I think it's going to happen. And then R-Truth will get a chance to be incredibly entertaining in SNL. So there's that. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do at Elimination Chamber. And I'll get into more in this, but Lacey Evans is pregnant again. So congratulations to Lacey Evans. I think that's great. Not sure how I feel about the Ric Flair being the dad thing. I think it's just kind of weird. I know they try to do outlandish stories in WWE. I get that, but to me, even that's a little weird to see Ric Flair impregnating one of his daughter's rivals. I think to me, that whole storyline is just a little weird. So, but overall, congratulations to Lacey Evans on her being pregnant with their second child. I think that's absolutely terrific. Is my hole still funny? The Nia Jax thing? I don't know at this point. I'm just not sure. The only reason I laugh is because of Botchamania this week, and they were doing in the endings, they kept making fun of that with that and the memes and stuff like that. So I think my hole is funny, but I'm not sure, but I digress. I'm pretty sure I would sell my soul to Alexa Bliss at this point. The whole, the Infernal Star, the Death Star, that's Star Wars, but the star that she was sitting in, it's like the Star of Hell or something like that. I can't remember the technical term, but she was sitting inside of that with Randy Orton, and then all of her faces was on the screens of the Thunderdome. Again, I'm pretty sure I would sell my soul to Alexa Bliss at this point. I'd probably end up going to hell, but man, would it be worth it. Lana is getting better each week, which I think is cool. She held her own against the Queen of Spades, so I thought that was fine. So good for Lana. It's clear out of her and her husband, she is the breadwinner of that family, and not her husband, whose career is going downhill at a rapid rate. They sit. Max Kellerman on First Take talks about the cliff in the ravine, Miro has taken a cliff, and it's like Wile E. Coyote hitting the cliff and going to splat and hit the ground. Lana is the breadwinner, and Miro needs to milk that for all, he needs to be kissing the ground that she walks on, that she's actually relevant out of that couple. Great gauntlet match, but what else is new? If Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles was the main event, I wouldn't mind it one bit. That was great. So, really good stuff on all the programming this week. I'll say just a couple things I enjoyed about AEW this week. Great to see Riho back. I think her match with Serena Deeb was great. I will give credit where credit is due, and I said this last week and I'll say it this week. AEW's women's division has been improving. They're getting better every week. I wish we would see more women's matches on AEW programming, because that would also get away from the crap that they're putting on television. But they have been moving in the right direction. So congratulations to Riho and Serena Deeb, which I think was the highlight of AEW this week, their match. I suppose a decent match with Santana and Ortiz and the Young Bucks, but there were still one too many spots for my taking. And congratulations to Cody and Brandy, who are going to be having a girl. They did the gender reveal on AEW this week. So that's all terrific. So congratulations to them on having their first child and a baby girl. That's great. And before we close off, I'm going to give my predictions for Elimination Chamber this week. This is always an interesting pay-per-view on the road to WrestleMania. I think they're planning to do Fastlane as well, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But I do believe that is coming. So I'll give my predictions at this point. And these are going to be, the matches I'm going to predict are based upon what is currently listed on WWE's website for the card as of the time of this recording. And we're going to start with the Raw Women's Championship, Asuka versus Lacey Evans. I don't know what they're going to do with this, since Lacey Evans is pregnant, and if she's the case, she definitely needs to not be taking any bumps. So I don't know where they're going to go with this. I would assume there's going to be a replacement. I'm going to guess I don't know, maybe Charlotte? I don't know who would get the opportunity at that. I hope it's somebody that we haven't seen in a while that is worthy of a spot getting a Raw Women's Championship match. So we'll have to see what they're going to do with that. Maybe Peyton Royce. I could see it be a Peyton Royce subbing in, and then and either way, Asuka's leaving Elimination Chamber with the Raw Women's Championship. But we'll see what happens with that. I kind of hope they would give it to Billie Kay, but I know she's on SmackDown with the Riot Squad, but we'll see. Triple threat match, United States Championship, Bobby Lashley versus Keith Lee versus Riddle. This could actually be very entertaining. There's some stuff circulating that we don't know what's going to be happening with Keith Lee, what his Rumble stat or what his Elimination Chamber status is at this moment. I assume he's going to be there, and I'm going to say that Bobby Lashley retains the United States Championship. No reason for them to take it off of him. He's incredible. This is the best Bobby Lashley he's been in his career. I hope that he gets a shot at the world title eventually, because I think he could do something with the world title, especially with MVP and the rest of the Hurt Business by his side. But I think it's going to be a great match, potential to steal the show, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I don't know if they're doing a SmackDown Women's Championship match. If they did, I assume it'll be. I think Sasha Banks will walk out with the title. They may just have some sort of altercation. I don't know if they're having a match, but either way, I think that's going to be. I think Sasha Banks will leave with the SmackDown Women's Championship. Getting into the two chamber matches, because those are the ones that are listed. I'm going to start with the SmackDown Elimination Chamber match. Tough to say at this point. I've got to assume that it's going to be Kevin Owens is going to get the win, and then we'll get beat by Roman Reigns later in the night. And then we'll see what happens what's going to happen with Edge and all that stuff. But I think it's going to be Kevin Owens, and then Roman Reigns beats him in quick fashion, and then the road to WrestleMania begins. And then we have the WWE Championship match for we have Drew McIntyre, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston, and Sheamus. McIntyre retains here. I don't see any reason for them to take the title off of him at this point. I think this will give us the opportunity to set up the Fiend versus Randy Orton. I think that that's why I think we may have a Fastlane pay-per-view so we can get Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, unless Roman Reigns picks Edge, and then Drew McIntyre and Sheamus will go at it at WrestleMania. I could see that maybe being a retirement match possibly. I don't know, because they're both getting up in age. I don't know. But I'm going to say McIntyre retains. This may lead to McIntyre again. I think this is starting to make me think that Edge is going to go after Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at Mania, and then we're going to get McIntyre and Sheamus in a one-on match in Mania as well. I really had thought that it was going to be, well, I don't know, because I really, really am still holding out a little bit of hope that it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at Mania because of the whole Paul Heyman thing. But we'll see what happens with Chamber this Sunday. But to me, it's starting to look like it's going to be Edge and Reigns, and then McIntyre and Sheamus. Unless they do Fastlane, and then they could do those matches there. And then we can go on with, or they can do Reigns and Owens one more time at Fastlane. I don't know. And then they can do McIntyre and Sheamus at Fastlane. And then Edge can challenge McIntyre, and then Lesnar can get Reigns. So we'll have to see. And those are the thoughts of Dericho for this week. Really looking forward to Elimination Chamber this week. My final thoughts are, my thoughts and prayers are with all of the folks in Texas that are losing their power. I spent 15 years in Texas. I have family there. I know times are tough. So if you guys send your best wishes, send your prayers, send your thoughts, and let's make sure that the great people of Texas can get through these storms that they're dealing with. God bless you guys. We'll see y'all soon. Looking forward to the Chamber this weekend.
This has been the Thoughts of Dericho. You're smarter now, man.